Everyone thinks being unknown is a disadvantage. They're wrong. When no one knows who you are, you have no expectations, no audience to disappoint, no critics waiting for you to slip. That is freedom. You can try things and fail in silence. You can test offers, change direction, scrap entire projects, and no one cares. That's leverage. Obscurity gives you freedom to make mistakes, learn, and improve without judgment. Most people don't understand how powerful that is. When no one knows you, you're not under the spotlight. You're not being compared, criticized, or measured against others. You're invisible. And in business, invisibility is an asset. It means you can move without pressure. You can try something, mess it up, and no one will call you out. No one will record your failure. No one will remember the wrong step. You get to reset as many times you want until you find something that actually works. Think about the businesses that everyone knows. The moment they make a mistake, the world talks about it. Every flaw gets magnified. Every misstep is documented. They're forced to be perfect, not because they want to, but because they're trapped by their own visibility. That pressure slows them down. They can't afford to take wild swings. They can't afford to test something sloppy. They have to play safe. Playing safe means playing slow. Playing slow means getting disrupted. You don't have that problem yet. Being unknown lets you iterate at speed. You can throw an offer out to the market today, and if it bombs, no one cares. You can change the headline, rebuild the funnel, reposition the service, and do it again tomorrow. You don't lose trust because there's no trust to lose yet. That's leverage. That's how you learn 10 times faster than the person who's trying to look polished in front of a big audience. The hidden truth is that perfection kills businesses in the early stage. When you obsess over looking right, you stop doing the work that makes you right. You hesitate, you second guess, you delay. But obscurity removes that temptation. No one's watching, so you can act. Action beats perfection. Momentum beats hesitation. And every rep you put in compounds into skill, into knowledge, into clarity about what actually works in the market. The beginner thinks being overlooked is painful. The pro knows being overlooked is protection. It's the shield that lets you sharpen your weapon without anyone noticing. Every mistake you make in private becomes a foundation for public mastery. Every failed attempt is just another draft. You can stack hundreds of drafts before anyone even sees your work. By the time you're visible, you're already battle-tested, you're already dangerous. Imagine two entrepreneurs. One has an audience of 50,000 people watching every move. The other has no audience at all. The one with the audience feels pressure to release something perfect. They take 6 months to polish it. They launch once, and if it fails, it damages their credibility. The one with no audience can release 50 offers in those same 6 months. Each failure teaches them something new. Each lesson compounds. By the end of those 6 months, they have 50 data points, 50 experiments, and a product that's been stress tested by reality. Who wins? The one no one knew. That's why obscurity is a gift. It accelerates your cycle of trial and error. It gives you a learning curve without the weight of public opinion. It gives you time to build skills without pressure to perform. It gives you the ability to move fast and break things without the cost of being judged. You get to be reckless in the right way, reckless with speed, reckless with experimentation, reckless with ideas. And reckless is exactly what you need in the early stages because safe doesn't get you data. Safe doesn't give you feedback. Safe doesn't create momentum. The reason people stay stuck is because they don't see obscurity as leverage. They think no one paying attention means failure. But it's actually training camp. It's your preseason. The scoreboard doesn't matter yet. You're not here to impress anyone. You're here to practice, to test, to adjust, to develop the muscle memory that makes execution automatic. No athlete complains that no one is watching them in practice. They know practice is where they earn the right to perform. Your business is no different. When you're unknown, the market doesn't have expectations. That means you can experiment with pricing. You can experiment with positioning. You can experiment with delivery. You can figure out how to actually deliver value without the burden of defending your reputation. That window closes as soon as people start to pay attention. When customers expect consistency, you lose freedom. When your brand stands for something, you lose flexibility. The bigger you get, the heavier every move becomes. But right now, you're light. You can pivot in seconds. That's why this stage is your greatest advantage. Every time you fail in obscurity, you bank a lesson. Every time you bank a lesson, you increase the odds of winning next time. Stack enough failures and you start stacking wins. And when the wins come, they come fast because you've already burned through all the mistakes. The marketplace rewards the one who's iterated the most, not the one who's been perfect from the start. The person who's been invisible has more chances to iterate. That's why being unknown isn't a curse, it's a weapon. The business graveyard is filled with people who tried to look successful before they actually were. They polished their website for months. They obsessed over the logo. They wanted to look big before they knew how to sell small. They spent more time protecting an image than building a business. Meanwhile, the person no one knew was testing offers, talking to customers, making sales, failing fast, adjusting, and building a real foundation. Visibility killed one, obscurity built the other. What obscurity really gives you is honesty. Because when no one knows you, the only feedback you get is from the market. Not from critics, not from friends, not from people online, just from buyers. Either they buy or they don't. That's the only truth you need. Visibility drowns you in opinions. Obscurity gives you clarity. Clarity about what works, clarity about what doesn't, clarity about what value actually looks like in the marketplace. And clarity is the ultimate advantage. The best leverage you have in business is the ability to iterate in silence until you're undeniable. Most people waste their time chasing attention too early. They want followers, likes, and recognition before they've earned the right to be recognized. They want the spotlight without having a performance worth watching. But the spotlight is a trap. It forces you to protect your image instead of improving your substance. When you're unknown, you don't have that trap. You can use your obscurity as leverage to refine your craft, sharpen your offer, and repeat the process until what you bring to the market is so strong that no one can ignore it. Iteration is the process of making something, testing it, breaking it, learning from it, and making it better. It's the cycle of continuous refinement. The faster you can complete cycles, the faster you grow. Most entrepreneurs slow their cycle down because they're afraid of looking stupid. They don't want to be seen trying something that fails. But when no one knows you, no one sees your failures. That is leverage. You can run hundreds of tests without anyone caring. Every test gets you closer to the version that works. By the time you're visible, you're not experimenting, you're executing. Think about a fighter in the gym. They don't broadcast every sparring session. They don't post every mistake or every time they get hit. They practice behind closed doors, repeating combinations until they're automatic. By the time the fight happens in public, they've done thousands of unseen reps. That's why they look smooth under pressure. Business works the same way. Silence is your gym. Iteration is your sparring. Every time you test an offer, every time you adjust your messaging, every time you refine your delivery, you're doing reps. No one's watching, and that's the point. It lets you build the skill and confidence that will make you undeniable when it finally matters. The people who rush into visibility are easy to spot. Their products are weak. Their service is inconsistent. Their messaging is unclear. They look polished on the surface, but they crumble as soon as the market applies pressure. The market doesn't care about how good you look. It cares about how good you are. And the only way to be good is through iteration. You have to keep testing, keep learning, keep refining until your value is obvious, until the offer is so strong it sells itself, until the product is so solid it keeps customers, until the skill is so developed it can't be ignored. Iteration in silence also gives you freedom from noise. When you're visible, everyone has an opinion. People tell you what they think you should do, even if they've never built anything themselves. Critics weigh in. Friends and family give advice. All of it creates distraction. When you're unknown, you don't have to deal with any of that. The only feedback you get is from the market, which is the only feedback that matters. Either someone buys or they don't. Either someone comes back or they don't. That's the rawest, purest form of feedback you can get. And when you let that guide your iterations, you build something real instead of something that just looks good. Most entrepreneurs underestimate how many iterations it takes to get it right. They think they'll nail the offer on the first try. They think they'll find the right message immediately. The truth is, you're probably going to fail dozens of times. You're going to put things out that no one wants. You're going to get rejected. You're going to miss. But every miss teaches you something. Every rejection is data. Every failure is just one cycle closer to the version that works. And as long as you stay in motion, those cycles compound. That's why silence is such a gift. You get to fail privately, to stack up lessons without stacking up embarrassment. By the time people notice you, you've already burned through the failures and are standing on the wins. Being undeniable is not about marketing tricks. It's about substance. The product works. The service delivers. The value is obvious. Marketing just amplifies what's already there. If what's there is weak, no amount of marketing saves you. If what's there is strong, marketing makes it explode. That strength only comes from iteration. You keep working, keep refining, keep improving until you've created something that solves a problem so well that people talk about it without you asking. When you hit that level, attention becomes a side effect. You don't have to chase it. It chases you. The people who succeed in business are not the ones who look the best early. They're the ones who stuck with the cycles long enough to become undeniable. They didn't care about being seen in the beginning. They cared about being better. They cared about the next test, the next adjustment, the next version. They embraced the grind of iteration because they knew every cycle stacked in their favor. They weren't afraid of obscurity because they understood obscurity is the soil where greatness grows. The most dangerous entrepreneur is the one who's been iterating in silence for years. No one saw their failures. No one tracked their experiments. They just kept building, testing, refining until one day they emerge with something unstoppable. To the outside world, it looks like they came out of nowhere. But nothing about it was sudden. It was the result of thousands of unseen cycles done in silence, stacked until they became undeniable.